You wake before you are ready. Something moved. It is still dark, that thin gray dark just before dawn, and your body is already tense before your mind is caught up to why. You don't know what made the sound. And in the Stone Age, not knowing is the most dangerous thing there is. This is your first morning, dropped 40,000 years into the past. You have your modern body, your modern brain, everything you are right now, six placed into the world your ancestors actually lived in. You probably think you'd manage. It's 30. Most people do. You wouldn't last a day. 34. And the reason why is not what you think. It isn't that you're weak. Your body is in fact a remarkable survival machine. The problem is that you have the hardware and none of the software. You inherited the engine. Nobody ever taught you to drive it. The fifth. Let's start with the thing that wakes you. The cold. You slept on the ground. 55, not a soft floor, the actual ground. Side. 58, with whatever covering you could manage. And your body spent the whole night burning fuel just to stay warm. 5, you are already hungry. Not bored hungry. Not skip breakfast hungry. 19, hungry in a way you have genuinely never felt because in your entire modern life food has never once been uncertain. 2, here it is the only certainty that exists and it points in exactly one direction. You must find calories today or your tomorrow gets shorter. So you stand up and immediately you notice your feet. You have no shoes. 130 the ground is sharp with stone and thorn and frozen grit. 134 and the soles of your feet are soft, padded, protected by a lifetime of sidewalks and socks. 140, the people around you have feet like leather. 143, they walk across terrain that would shred you and they don't even look down. 148, within an hour you have a small cut on your heel. It seems like nothing. Hold that thought, because that cut is going to matter more than almost anything else that happens today. Now, the water. 2. You are thirsty, and there's a stream nearby, and you do the obvious thing. 2.5. You drink. 2.6. And here is where your modern instincts quietly betray you. 2. You have spent your whole life drinking water that someone, somewhere made safe. 2. You have never once had to read a landscape and ask whether what's upstream will kill you. The people you're with would never drink there. 2E4. They know. 2.4. You don't. 2.5. By mid-morning, something is wrong in your gut. 2.8. And in a world with no clean replacement for the fluids you're losing. 2.33. And ordinary stomach bugs is no longer ordinary. 2.36. Do you see the pattern forming? 2.38. It is never the dramatic thing that gets you. Toof, it's a small thing you didn't know. 2.43. Let's talk about the part everyone imagines. The hunt. 2.46. You picture danger, a charging animal. 2.49. A desperate fight. 2.50. The reality is stranger and far more humbling. 2.53. The Harvard evolutionary biologist Daniel Lieberman has spent decades studying how the human body is built. 3, and his conclusion is striking. 3, you are not built to overpower animals. 3.5, you are built to outlast them. Your ancestors were endurance predators. 3.9, persistence hunters. 3, that phrase simply means this. They would track an animal and follow it at a slow, 3, relentless jog for hours through the heat of the day until the animal. 3, unable to sweat the way you can. 3.3, finally overheated and collapsed. 3.5, sit with how extraordinary that is. 3.7, your sweat glands, your relatively hairless skin. 3.30, your long, springy legs. 3.30, your ability to breathe independently of your stride. 3.35, these are not accidents. 3.30, they are hunting equipment. 3.39. The researcher Louis Liebenberg actually documented persistence hunting still being practiced in the Kalahari Desert. 3.46, running alongside hunters who chased antelope to exhaustion across miles of open ground. 3, so in theory, your body can do this. 3, in practice, you can't because persistence hunting is not running. 3.59, it is reading. 3.59, It's the ability to look at a faint scuff in the dirt and know which animal made it. 4-5. How long ago, whether it was limping. 4-E. Which way it will turn. 4-9. The hunters around you are reading a language written across the entire landscape. 4-Plife. A language with thousands of words. 4-Steen. And you cannot read a single one. 14. You'd lose the trail in the first 10 minutes. 4-Sue. You'd run yourself into heat stroke. 4-4. Chasing nothing. 4-5. The machine works. 4-N6. You just never got the manual. 4-8. And while you're failing at that, 4-30, your body is doing something else you've forgotten how to manage. 4-34. It is staying alert, constantly. There is no moment in this day when you are not. 4-40 on some level. Prey. 4. The luxury you have never once questioned. 4-44. The simple ability to stop scanning the world for threat. 4-40 does not exist here. 4-49. System nervous was actually designed for exactly this. 4-53. You're just not used to running it at full power. 4-56. And by afternoon, the exhaustion of pure vigilance is wearing you down in a way no workout ever has. 5 now. That cut on your heel. 5. It's been collecting dirt all day. 5. And this is where the deepest truth of the Stone Age reveals itself. 5. The one that almost nobody pictures. 5. The single greatest threat to your survival was not the predator or the cliff or the cold. 5-Teen. It was infection. 5. A wound that you would heal from in a week today, with a tube of ointment could quietly end you. 5-T6. There were no antibiotics. 5-E8. There was no understanding of bacteria. 5-30. There was only your immune system and luck. 5-33. We know this because of the bones. 5-35. The paleoanthropologist Eric Trinkhaus. 5-P8, who studies the skeletons of ancient humans. 5-40. Has spent his career reading injury into bone. 5-44. And the skeletons tell a brutal story. 5-46. Healed fractures everywhere. 5-48. Bones broken and reset. 5-50. Over and over, in patterns that show these were lives of constant physical risk. 5-55. At a place called Shanidar Cave in the mountains of what is now Iraq. 5-59. The remains of Neanderthals were found bearing terrible old injuries. 6 crushed bones, a withered arm, 6 vicious wounds that had healed. 6. Which tells us something quietly astonishing. 6 hen. Someone cared for the injured long enough for the bone to mend. 16. These were not invulnerable Superman. 6. They were fragile, mortal beings who survived by knowing things and by keeping each other alive. 6-T3, which brings us to the twist. 6-5. You assumed the Stone Age human was a savage. 6-E8 barely hanging on. And that you, 6-30, with your education and your nutrition and your clean modern life, 6-34, were the advanced one. 6-36, it is the reverse. 6-37, they were the experts. 6-38, you are the helpless one. 6-40, they carried in their heads an encyclopedia you will never possess. 6-44, which plant heals and which one kills. 6-47, how to start fire when your hands are numb. 6-49, how to find water in dry country. 6-50D, how to read weather in a cloud. 6-54, how to move so a predator doesn't mark you as weak. 6-50, the anthropologist Richard Wrangham has even argued that controlling fire and using it to cook is so fundamental that it reshaped our very bodies. 7, shrinking our guts and growing our brains. 7, fire is not a convenience here. 7-11, fire is the difference between life and death. 17, and you don't know how to make it. 7 binds, teeth. You've spent your whole life believing that intelligence means knowing facts. 7, in the Stone Age, intelligence meant knowing how to stay alive. 7-6. And by that measure, you would be the least intelligent person in the group by a wide and dangerous margin. 7-33. So picture the end of your one day. 7-35. The light is going. 7-36. You're cold again, hungrier than you began. 7-39. Your feet are raw. 7-40. Your stomach is in revolt. 7-42. And there's a faint heat starting in that cut on your heel. 7:46. The others move with calm certainty towards shelter. 7:49 toward fire, toward each other. 7:50. You follow because following is all you can do. 7:54. You have learned in a single day the thing every one of your ancestors knew in their bones. 8. That survival was never a solo act. 8. It was a group of people who each held a piece of the knowledge. 8. Sharing it, keeping the whole alive. 8-9. And here's where it folds back onto you right now in your actual life. 18. That body is still yours. 18. The endurance engine Daniel Lieberman described. 18. The one built to run animals into the ground. 8. You're sitting on it as you watch this. The vigilance system. 8-5. The deep social wiring. 8-7. The hunger for belonging. 8-8. The legs that want to walk for miles. 8:30. None of it went away. 8:30. You have simply been born into a world so safe and so abundant that the machine almost never gets switched on. 8:39. The restlessness you feel. 8. The way your mind sharpens when something is finally at stake. 8:45. That's not a flaw. 8:6. That's 40,000 years of survival idling. 8:49. Waiting for a day that 8:50 for you will never come. 8:50. You wouldn't last a single day in the Stone Age. 8:55. But not because you are less than the people who did. 8:58. Because they spent whole lives learning the one thing you were never taught. 9-4. How to use the body you were born with. 9-6. You woke this morning before you were ready. 9-9. Your ancestors woke every morning of their lives ready for anything because they had to. 19. The cost of that readiness was a world of danger you can barely imagine. 9. The gift of losing it is the safe. 9. Quiet morning you'll wake to tomorrow in a body that's still. 9-6. Somewhere deep down remembers how to run.